ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. How beautiful it is to be here, feeling like we belong, arm in arm just like sisters and brothers, joined together in song. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, 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 הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. How beautiful it is to be here, feeling like we belong, arm in arm just like sisters and brothers, joined together in song. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, שבת אחים גם יחד, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Good evening, and welcome to the Milwaukee Jewish Federation's 2020 annual meeting. I'm Joan Lubar, and I'm honored to co-host tonight's event along with Sara Hermanoff. As we waited for our program to begin, we listened to a beautiful version of Hine Ma Tov. The words of this ancient song celebrate the simple pleasure of being together as a community. Even when we are apart physically, we still feel the great joy, comfort, and strength of being in each other's company. The theme of our meeting tonight is Stronger Together. In the last months, many things we count on and believe in have been brought into question. Yet one thing I know to be true: we Jews are stronger when we work together.
Welcome, I'm Sara Hermanoff. Since 1902, the Milwaukee Jewish Federation has been solving some of our community's most challenging problems in order to fulfill our mission of caring for the needs of the Jewish people and building a vibrant Jewish future. Joan and I serve as co-chairs of the Federation's COVID-19 Community Response Team. We're working with some of our most talented and experienced volunteers to answer two of the greatest questions since our organization was founded. How will we care for the extraordinary needs born of a pandemic? And how will we ensure that we emerge from this time as a strong and vibrant community? Later in our program, we will show you how we have been tackling these questions. I want to mention up front that we will conclude tonight with a moving blessing sung by cantor Caren Goldberg. And for now, our wonderful board chair, Moshe Katz, is going to talk about some of the other things our organization has accomplished this past year.
Thank you, Joan and Sara, for your leadership tonight and for all you do, not just tonight, but every day of the week for the past 5 months during this crazy pandemic. Thank you all for joining us for this annual meeting of the Milwaukee Jewish Federation. It's great to see so many of you on with us tonight. I'd so much rather be hugging you in person, shaking your hands, giving you high fives, anything to come closer proximity to where we are now. So once again, thank you for joining us tonight. Before we get into the heart of the meeting, I want to take a few moments and say a few words about the unrest, chaos, riots, protests that have been taking place just 35 minutes south of us in Kenosha. The Milwaukee Jewish Federation and Jewish Community Relations Council staff have been providing close support to Beth Hillel Temple and Rabbi Dina Feingold, assisting with everything from security to communicating with the media. We've also been working closely with our interfaith partners on the ground and from our homes and from our home offices. Jews must stand united to rid our communities of systemic racism. Puts back Black lives, including Black Jewish lives, at risk and harms all of us. We must pursue justice. Justice, justice you shall pursue, guided by the principles of Pikuach Nefesh, and that places sanctity of life above all else. And B'Tselem Elohim, that we all were in fact created in God's image, and therefore all of life is sacred. We pray for Mr. Blake and for the families of Anthony Huber, Joseph Rosenblum, who were murdered, and for the healing and safety of all who are affected by these tragedies. Now on to tonight's meeting. We're going to watch a video that talks about what life was like just 5 short months ago, or 5 long months ago. Those days we once called normal. We were doing some pretty amazing things back then, and we want to take a few moments to look back and share what we did. Before we see the video, I would like each of us to cherish the silver linings we have found in our present. My son's home. It's pretty awesome. Life as we knew it may or may not be normal again, but we will get through this together, and we will thrive again.
We started out the year with a lot of kickoffs. We welcome new Israeli friends to our community. We helped keep the Jewish community safe by educating about anti-Semitism, launching our grant programs for synagogue security, and assisting local organizations in applying for security grants. We made our mark in Madison, helping pass a bill requiring Holocaust education in Wisconsin schools, and leading a trip of bipartisan legislators to Israel. We sent community members to Israel to renew Jewish identity, develop future leaders, and increase understanding of the region. We invested in our people, training our staff and lay leaders, reinvigorating women's philanthropy, educating our Jewish educators, and investing in Jewish schools with the Helen Daniels Bader Jewish Education Fund, 10 years and $10 million in the making.
Thank you, Bader Philanthropies.
We even said goodbye to Shai, to Alana, and to Golda Meir House to invest the proceeds in our community. We celebrated successes. Our annual campaign reached $6.5 million, another increase over the previous year, and the Jewish Community Foundation approached $200 million in assets. And then everything changed.
We find ourselves at a historic moment in time that will define us for years to come. Future generations will look back and measure the character of our community and of our leadership. They will measure us by the standard of a 2,000-year-old Talmudic mandate. Kol Yisrael arivim ze bazeh. All Jews are responsible for one another. Will we rise to meet this challenge? We have, and we will. After all, we were built for this. Generations of Milwaukee leaders and philanthropists prepared us to do this job. taking collective action to tackle our community's most devastating and seemingly intractable challenges. When this started, we immediately turned and looked at our mission, and we read it to guide our process. Our mission states, through the development of community-wide financial support, planning and allocation, the mission of the Milwaukee Jewish Federation is to ensure the continuity of the Jewish people, to enhance the quality of Jewish life, and to build a stronger, unified Jewish community in Milwaukee, in Israel, and throughout the world. Today, more than ever, these words resonate. What you'll hear about tonight are each of these aspects through the development of community-wide financial support. When COVID struck, many federations stopped their annual campaigns, not our community. We reached out to our donors, to our philanthropists, and within a month, we closed our $6.5 million campaign and achieved it together. I want to congratulate Lori Ross, who led us through this time, who led us for 3 years through our campaign, and who, without her efforts, we could not have done this. But then we continued. Community-wide support, then we founded the Fund for Jewish Milwaukee, a $3 million initiative to support all of our Jewish community institutions. Our mission states through planning and allocations. We created a community response team made of volunteers who were looking at the ever-changing needs of our Jewish institutions. The mission of the Milwaukee Jewish Federation is to ensure the continuity of the Jewish people, to enhance the quality of Jewish life, and to build a strong, unified Jewish community in Milwaukee, Israel, and throughout the world. We recognize that in addition, our core competencies revolve around convening the community and thinking community-wide, not just institution by institution. So we looked at what convening means, bringing our agency directors. In the first few months of this pandemic, we were meeting every day, then several times a week. Our synagogue leadership. We looked at communities that were specific that needed to be addressed, our West Side, our school communities, and all Jewish communal professionals in the greater Milwaukee area. We will address our initial response from convening to fundraising, from assessing and accessing philanthropic, federal, and local resources to the guidance and preparedness for contingency planning and community reopening. But it doesn't stop there. You'll hear about wellness checks being done on closed Jewish communal buildings, as well as cemetery checks. You will hear about the intensive planning work that is being done to assess immediate and ongoing needs. All of this is being done in service of our community today, but to ensure tomorrow. Our job is to take care of the needs while thinking about how to ensure the vibrant Jewish future. We can't just survive this. We have to come out the other side as a strong community that is filled not only with help, but with vibrancy and accessibility to Jewish life. So what does our response look like? This video will show how we responded in the initial months of the pandemic. Keep in mind that our response and recovery work has only just begun, and we know that the most difficult work is yet to come. That's why we are already anticipating and planning for the need to bolster and rebuild our community in the months and years to come.
In the last week of February 2020, Miryam Rosenzweig, the president and CEO of the Milwaukee Jewish Federation, called me into her office. Miryam knows that I used to be a commander in the Israeli Navy. After entering her office, she told me, "Shimon, I need you to put your commander hat on." Within 2 hours, we had the Federation's leadership team assembled in our office to discuss how the Federation was going to lead our community's response to the pandemic.
We put together very early on, as facilities started to close, a wellness check program. You know, there's all these vacant buildings. And as, we identified early on that we had the capacity to be able to check on the buildings, which means all the synagogues, cemeteries.
And we developed a group called the Community Response Team. The late chairs were Sara Hermanoff and Joan Lubar. And their job was to really assess the situation and also handle the distribution of funds and create a process We created a fund for Jewish Milwaukee, and this was for all Jewish organizations.
We received requests for things like for the Jewish Community Food Pantry to help create, a drive-by service. The schools needed laptops or Chromebooks for their students whose families didn't have them, and in order to create virtual learning opportunities.
By having an attorney on retainer, we were able to help 40 organizations secure the SBA loans. And this was significant because it brought in $10 million in federal funds, which then we could use our local donor dollars to help agencies and individuals in other ways.
We brought in the Adaptive Leadership Training Program from the Harvard Kennedy School to help Jewish communal organizations going forward to manage making difficult decisions, how they need to adapt to life as it will be in the future versus what it was pre-COVID. What I noticed is that it broke down barriers that have been built over years in this Jewish community.
Ari is like having an Avenger on our team. I was actually part of a national task force for reopening our organizations, Jewish community organizations. So his knowledge coming from that background made perfect sense for us to be able to use that expertise and how we're going to be reopening our own schools here in our own institutions as best as possible, as safe as possible.
For those that are reopening, we've provided PPE startup kits to about 35 different locations.
We understood that the accessibility to reliable resources and information is a gap, and providing access to all the resources that are available way beyond the federal government.
Make sure that synagogues knew everything we were offering, and also to make sure, we were taking care of their needs. They're not our constituent agencies, but we're all one community.
Miryam just came on board. She is the right person for this time. Brought our federation to a new level.
Leadership is accepting the responsibility for enabling others to achieve a shared vision and a shared purpose in the face of uncertainty. Our job here was to take on the responsibility, to say we're going to help. We're going to raise the money and we're going to create the resources to enable others. We ensured that JFS was giving out the dollars. The JCC is providing community programs. The schools are working with the kids. Milwaukee Jewish Free Loan is giving out the loan. Our job was to enable them to do that for the shared purpose and that last line, in the face of uncertainty.
The list of names I'm about to share have been wonderful stewards of our community, serving on the board of the Milwaukee Jewish Federation. They are awesome volunteers and real change makers. I know their work has been holy with a capital H, and for that reason, I have dropped off gifts this week to each of them. Just like we welcome the holiness of Shabbat, so do we prepare for the mundane of the work week using Havdalah sets, which is what their gifts were. Let me share their names and a little bit about what some of them are doing. Nancy Barnett, who leads us to become the chair of the JCC. Susan Angel Miller, Susan Lubar, Barbara Glazer, David Cohn, David Werner, Brent Arnold, past chair Andrea Schneider, now executive director of our Jewish Community Foundation, Mitch Moshe, and finally to the person who changed our community for 3 years, changed it so much for the good, our campaign chair, Lori Roth. Thank you all.
Lori, I had the great privilege of working with you over the past 3 years, learning from you and witnessing firsthand your boundless passion for community. You would often say, Jews do good things in the world, as you would talk about all the lives touched by a gift to the annual campaign. And each time you'd say it was because you were deeply inspired by the generosity of those around you to make life better for others. The care you took to listen, understand, guide, and respect each and every person you spoke with was truly remarkable. And because your passion is contagious, the Federation raised more money in each of your 3 years than the year before. The Bible says, "Those who lead many to righteousness will shine like stars forever." Lori, you have done good things in the world, and you are a shining star. Thank you for all you have done, and for all you will continue to do to make our community and our world a better place.
Thank you, Lori Roth, for all your amazing efforts on behalf of our Jewish community. I'm Lisa Hiller, Chair of the Governance and Nominating Committee. I'm honored to present the Nominating Committee report on our 2020-2021 Board of Directors. As a member of the board myself, I am always aware of the great privilege and honor, as well as the responsibility of serving on this particular board. In many ways, it is the pinnacle of volunteer achievement in Milwaukee's Jewish community. We become part of a decades-long chain of stewards for our community, entrusted with making critical decisions about how we support Jews here in Milwaukee, in Israel, and around the world. And this work has become even more profoundly needed during these challenging times. Tonight, we nominate 10 individuals for a first 2-year term. Linda Bader, Becca Gorolnik, Ann Jacobs, Cindy Levy, David Lowe, Mindy Palais, Max Rosansky, Betsy Rosenblum, and Jody Sprinkman. We further nominate Heidi Goodman and Adam Greenspan to a first 2-year term after filling a vacancy. We nominate Kurt Janovitz, Cheryl Moser, Fran Richmond, and Carrie Steinberger for a second 2-year term. We nominate Yoni Schlussel for a third 2-year term. Now, just as a reminder, according to our bylaws, all members of our corporation are eligible to vote, and anyone who contributes to our annual campaign is a member of this corporation. I call for a member to make a motion in the chat box to elect the nominees recommended by the Governance Nominating Committee. Thank you. I will now ask a member who will second the motion in the chat box. Thanks for the feeling. We will conduct a poll to complete the vote. All those in favor, select approve in the poll. For those opposed, select oppose in the poll. And I'll wait. Great. Looks like the motion passes. That's fantastic. I'd like to acknowledge others who need not be elected tonight, but who are members of the 2020-2021 board, either because they are continuing terms or are on the board by virtue of their ex officio status. Moshe Katz, Joan Lubar, Esther Ansel, Eileen Graves, Michael Rosenberg, Cheryl Paley, Alan Corneal, Judy Corin, Panina Goldfarb, Sara Hermanoff, Greg Marcus, Brian Schupper, and myself, Lisa Hiller. Thank you and congratulations to all our new and returning board members. Oh, and I'm very pleased to let you know, Caren Goldberg, that there's an additional gift of recognition for all your service coming to you from Moshe Katz, which hopefully will be delivered within the next 24 hours or so. Thank you for all the work you've done for our community. And now, back to our program.
One of the pleasures of being board chair is getting to work with some spectacular Jewish community professionals. One of the greatest is Caren Goldberg. I've watched her for years be the stalwart leader, the head of our foundation. She is an amazing person, a wonderful human being. I love spending time with her literally around the world, in Israel and Argentina. Caren, I can't thank you enough for all you've done for our community as a Chief Development Officer for the Federation and Executive Director of the Jewish Community Foundation. Please join me in saying thank you to Caren and a wonderful video highlighting some of her work.
3 simple thank yous tonight. First, thank you for all the outstanding work you've done for our Jewish community. It's just so important. A second thank you really goes to thank you for all the work you've done beyond the Jewish community, because with the Foundation Federation, your work does extend throughout our entire community, through our world, and we're grateful for that. And lastly, I personally want to say thank you for the work you did making me the foundation chair. You've made it not only easy but rewarding and fun, and I've enjoyed it, and I will miss you. I wish you the best in wherever the path of life takes you. Thanks again, Caren. Take care.
And I was blessed to work with Caren. Not only is she a mentor, but she is now a friend.
Every living thing has to continue to grow. And I know that you'll continue to grow from strength to strength. You've been a blessing to this community.
You know, it's the end and it's the beginning. So thanks, Caren, for all you've meant to me and all you've meant to the community.
She is truly, a rock star. To me, Caren is strong, steady, mindful, bright. She's hardworking. She is the voice of reason.
I want to add my congratulations to Caren. I had the honor of working alongside Caren for a year and a half, and I understand why she is called the godfather of Jewish philanthropy in Milwaukee. As a show of thanks, we have purchased a necklace by Ayala Bar, one of Karen's favorite artists in Israel. It is unique like Caren. Only one necklace exists. In the last several months, life as we know it has changed dramatically and in unimaginable ways. We find ourselves confronting what may be one of the most challenging periods in our Jewish life. We're facing a crisis that has blanketed the world, affecting virtually every nation, economy, institution, and individual. Here in Milwaukee, every member of our Jewish community's life has been affected. Whether they are missing the touch of friends and loved ones, or they're struggling to maintain their food, their shelter, and their medication. We've also seen every Jewish institution in Milwaukee impacted and challenged to serve their community. The challenges we face are immeasurable, but so is the spirit and the generosity of Milwaukee's Jewish community. Now is the time for us to rise to the challenge of caring for the needs of the Jewish people and securing a vibrant, if changed, Jewish future. Abraham Lincoln said, "We can complain that rose bushes have thorns, or we could rejoice that thorn bushes have roses." Yes, it has been a year of thorns. 2020 has brought many challenges, but Milwaukee's Jewish community, members, philanthropists, institutions, and leaders are my roses. I want to take this moment to give a shout out to my colleagues, the agency directors in our community. Over these last 6 months, I have seen them under incredible conditions modify their work, their way of serving, their way of working with their staff, make incredibly tough decisions, all of it while serving and with the intention of making sure that we have a strong Jewish community. Today is Hug a Jewish Agency Director Day, as is every day, so if you see one, socially distance and hug them. I also want to take this time to thank the staff of the Milwaukee Jewish community. I'm overwhelmed when I think about the incredible work that they have done over this past year, but especially during coronavirus. People changed jobs, modified their work, took on other roles, worked relentlessly, weekends, no vacations, everything stopped to make sure that we can do our job and fulfill our mission. I'd like to now recognize the new hires that occurred this year, as well as those who have reached milestones. Our new hires in 2019 and 20 are Robin Aronson, Bridget Bishop, Shannon Evans, Louise Jesse, Mitch Moser, Tom Eckler, Olga Vashovka, Patty Port, Kate Schmidt, Melanie Stagg, Jenny Cassie, and Lori Van Dalen. I wish I could sit here and tell you about each one of these incredibly special professionals, but I could tell you that each one of them has impacted the way we have responded as a community. I'd also like to note significant milestones. And actually, my milestone is that this is my first year in Milwaukee, and I'm glad to say that I'm not only here, but I'm here for good. We bought a house, I have a mortgage, it's here for good. But there are some bigger milestones out there within our staff. Patty Sherman-Swisler and Sova Nora have been here for 5 years with our team. Molly Dubin for 10 years. Jay Hyland for 15 years. And rounding it out, Tommy Rice has been with the Milwaukee Jewish Federation for 35 years. Everybody raise your hands, give him a shout out. Congratulations to Tommy Rice. Jewish tradition is not just about hope, it's about action. The Jewish people didn't just keep going in every country in which we found ourselves, in every society, in every circumstance. We strive to create a better world for all. Part of the secret of Jewish hope and action is the famous line from Pirkei Avot, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor velo ata ben chorin lehibatel mimena. You are not obligated to finish the work, but nor are you free to desist from it. Together, we are optimistic about the future, and we are trying new solutions to reach our ultimate goal, not to get through COVID crisis, but to ensure that we can fulfill our mandate, that together we take care of the needs of our Jewish community, and we create a vibrant Jewish future for all of us, and for the future of Milwaukee, of Israel, and around the world. Our theme tonight, Stronger Together, may be the best illustrated in this next video. You are going to see how our agencies, schools, and synagogues have been nothing less than heroic in meeting the needs of our community over the past several months. Thank you.
A third person has died from the coronavirus in the city of Milwaukee.
To people, about 250 or so, to be canceled.
We need folks to take the safer at home order I signed today seriously.
Or saving a human life is a value above all others, and we want to keep everybody healthy and safe. There will be a lot of Skype Seders, Zoom Seders, telephone Seders, so that we can still connect with one another.
Hi to all our extended mishpucha in Milwaukee. We're all in the same boat.
I really miss all of you, and I'm sure I'll see you again. I just hope it will be very, very soon.
Our JCC remained open. It never really closed. It just moved into other spaces.
We are a family. Once we are a family, we
past few months, Wisconsin region has really been tested. 2 of our 3 annual conventions were canceled. We've not been able to see our brothers and sisters.
Chana Senesh, the great Hungarian Zionist Israeli paratrooper, once wrote the following words: "There are stars whose radiance is visible on earth, though they have long been extinct. There are people whose brilliance continues to light the world, even though they are no longer among the living. These lights are particularly bright when the night is dark. They light the way for humankind." The video you're about to see is of those people who have passed, donors to the Milwaukee Jewish Federation, from last year to this year. If we've omitted anybody, please forgive us, and please join me in remembering those giants who came before us.
What a beautiful memorial to the people who helped build our Jewish community through their philanthropy. Sara and I want to thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to close now with One Day by Modest Yahoo, followed by a blessing from Cantor Caren Berman.
Recently, Congregation Shalom and Cantor Berman said Lehitra out after 30 years together. She is going to sing Misha Berach, the traditional Jewish prayer for healing. The words speak to our desire for physical, emotional, and spiritual healing as individuals and as a people. Thank you again for joining us tonight, and please enjoy this closing psalm followed by Misha Berach.
Avotenu
Be the source of strength, who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. Let us say, Amen. Yishebirach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, renewal of body, renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Good night, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. Have a great night and Shabbat Shalom.